What up, guys? Zarek, Underdogs of Addiction. Today's video is a topic that hits very close to home, obviously for me, and to a lot of people out there watching. And today's video is, what is fentanyl addiction like from the eyes of those that love you? I myself have never tried opiates, never tried fentanyl. Reason being is in 2012-ish, 13, my aunt, Raisha Simmons, passed away from a Oxycontin-laced fentanyl, which was right around the beginning, I would say, because it was the first time around the time you started barely hearing it. And I'm going to give you some backstory on that. You know, my aunt Raisha was, she was like my second mom. She was like my big cool sister, you know, because she was pretty young. She was maybe only like 15 years older than me or something like that. And she never had a son, so she kind of always treated me like her son. And I had a lot of great memories with her. She was a beautiful singer. She loved to play video games. She was very charismatic, very tough, very strong-willed, and just had a lot of beautiful memories. She cooked amazing food, loved going over for holidays at her place. And yeah, so she passed away in 2013, and when I was young, this is probably around when I was 11 years old, 2001-ish, I remember like a pill lady would come over to the house, and I didn't know. I thought it was just she was getting her medicine, and like the lady was like some nice looking white lady, so I didn't, who drove a Volvo, and I didn't think anything of it. And that's when it began. And this is just opiate addiction in general, whether you know, this is how it started to affect me. And I remember my aunt, she started distancing from the family, and slowly, surely, the addiction started to take her over to the point where she was so ashamed about it. We didn't even know. We really didn't know. I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, oh, my aunt like doesn't love me or care about me anymore. It really sucked. Not having her around put a big void in my life and some of my other family members who really liked her and loved her and stuff. And basically, she moved away to Pittsburgh from Washington State, where we're from, and I didn't really see her again since 2003, 4. I didn't see her till then she passed away 10 years later. So I didn't really ever see her. I talked to her a few times on the phone, and basically she just got a bad pill. And I'm going to disclose something that I don't really tell people about because it's really fucked up, but from the source that I've heard from my sister, well, basically my sister, my cousin Tanika, is like it's been a sister to me my whole life. We're very close, and that was my aunt's only child. She got the pill from my father. It wasn't intentional, obviously. He didn't know that it was laced. And apparently he had gave her the pill because my father left Washington too, because he kind of always lived off his sister a little bit, you know. She always had her stuff somewhat together, and he was kind of transient and battling his own addictions and mental health problems, so he never really had anything. And that was that. And this is going to build into the second part of my story, but that to go on the first part is, I just remember seeing the, just seeing her, and my cousin, she sent me a photo, because she had to go identify the body, and to see my aunt like that, it fucked me up. And for years I numbed myself to it. I think I cried once, and I didn't want to think about it anymore because I was so close to my aunt, I missed her so much even before she died, and to lose her and know that like I'm never gonna get those moments again, it sucks, and it still sucks. You know, I still miss her every fucking day. I think about her every day. You know, and in 2013, you know, after she passed away, I wrote a song with my brother when we were in Vacaville, or we were in Fairfield, or we were in Northern Cali somewhere. I think Benicia, yeah. And we wrote this song called Dreams. And some of you guys know me as Styles Major, my music page, and my brother Tony Sway. And we wrote a song, and the song talks about dreams, and it talks about addiction. And my aunt had an amazing voice. My dad was about to become like a world famous drummer before his addiction kind of took him out. And you know, and the song was kind of, me and my brother have been making music since we were children. And it was kind of a coming out for us, and it was actually our first big hit song. It became a hit song in multiple countries, primarily Brazil. It went top 10, got on a huge soap opera, did a collective of like 20 to 25 million views worldwide, had a lot of success independently on YouTube in America. I mean, I had homies back in my hometown that were like, yo, dude, I saw your music video on like this TV channel, or like, dude, this just popped up on my YouTube, or you know, I had friends who were stationed over in Korea for the Air Force or Army, whatever, and they were like, dude, they're playing your music video here. So we had a breakthrough, and in that song, I talk about, you know, how addiction took my father from his kids, from his dream, and I talk about how addiction killed my aunt. You know, it killed my aunt, it killed a voice you get in how I feel. And I didn't know at the time that one day I would struggle with my own addiction to alcohol and cocaine. But that song really touched a lot of people. And in that song, I talk about, you know, not letting your dreams die, you know. And so where I'm getting with that is, you know, basically, you know, a lot of you guys know my story. I'm not going to get too deep into that. This video is supposed to be about, you know, how fentanyl has affected my fucking family and killed people that I fucking care about, you know, and one of my best friends, multiple best friends. But instead of sitting here and getting angry at the drug, because when I had surgery, they gave me a medical grade fentanyl. Like, I didn't take it, obviously I didn't take any prescription, but they were like, before surgery we have to give you this, and I'm like, all right. And so this is not about demonizing medical grade fentanyl or anything like that. This is about addiction. And addiction is only an attempt to escape from pain that we do not know how to deal with. And my aunt had a lot of pain. And where I'm getting at, guys, is when I came back home from rehab about 6 months ago, I hadn't seen my dad in 16 years. And then in 2000, around the pandemic time or whatever, just before pandemic, like 2019, I ran into him after 16 years and we met up. And this was before the fentanyl started getting, you know, laced with tranquilizers and all that stuff. And he still looked pretty decent, but he was still, you know, he was. You could tell the addiction was still affecting him. Fast forward, I didn't see him for 5 years, and I come back home and I'm driving in my car and I see someone that looks like my father on the corner of the road. And it was the weirdest fucking feeling, because I had like my sunshades on, and something in my intuition, it was like God was like, look over there, and I intuitively knew that was my dad, even though I could barely recognize him. I just looked at his face and it was like a recognition of like, that's my DNA. And he was 120 pounds, if that, and he probably normally was a 200-pound man during his, you know, prime of life. He's only 58, and it really, really sent me for a trip to see my dad like that. Like, you could finally tell that the drugs have finally started to really, really harm him. And I think after the death of my grandfather, Sonny Simmons, a couple years ago, that was kind of like the final stick in him, because there was a lot of pain in that relationship for him for different reasons. And just, you know, I pulled over, and a couple days later, because I saw him again, and I pulled over and I was like, that's definitely my dad. I'm not gonna just drive past him. And I said, Pops, and he rolls around and he comes in my car, and it was just like weird. It's like, damn, like I feel like I'm the parent now, and my dad, he's just, you can tell his brain is messed up from the drugs. It was almost like he was a child. It felt like he was a child, and like to see what addiction has done to my father, it's crazy because I've seen it my whole life. I've seen my dad drinking, how that progressed. I've seen, the weed, the drinking, and then, all the other stuff he started doing. And mainly his thing was alcoholism. And then he got into the opiates once, my mom left him and stuff. I think he couldn't deal with the pain of losing his family. And, when I seen him recently, he had a big, huge, what they get from the fentanyl, like he got some type of rash or infection on his neck, and he had this big cyst, and they had to operate it. And I just see this scar, and it's just like my dad used to be a powerful man, like amazing drummer, a fucking world-class drummer. Just like when I would watch his videos when I was a kid, and my brother too, I would just be shocked. I'm like, damn, that's my dad. Like, how do you get so good at something? And whenever I wanted to get good at anything, I'd always ask my dad when he was around, how do I get good at stuff, and he said, you got to practice every day. And that's the best advice my dad's ever given me in my life, because everything I ever was passionate about, I practiced every day, and I got really damn good at a lot of stuff, and great at some things. And, to see him withered down, no family, no money, no career, no relationship with his children, no health. It was really a trip. I think initially I didn't want to allow myself to feel it, and it was just a trip. And I did a lot of work and treatment and healed a lot of the issues that I had with my dad and myself. And it was kind of weird, because it was kind of beautiful, because we were able to kind of just be at peace. We had a lot of fights and arguments as I was growing up, because I had a lot of resentment and stuff like that. But it was just like everything was good, and one night I brought him some clothes and some food, and I said, you know what, if you need to, you can sleep in the back of my Jeep tonight. I wasn't really thinking clearly. I thought I was just talking to my dad, but he used in my Jeep, and I mean, it stunk like fentanyl, and I found like bloody syringes and, like alcohol bottles. And I was just like, God damn, I just told myself, I said, Z, I said, I know you ain't at this level, but just remind yourself that you're just a few tragedies away from ending up like this, maybe. Now, my father is battling some mental health issues that I can't really relate to, but I can relate to some of them. And it just was a stark reminder for me to stay on my path of recovery. And my dad always told me when I was younger, and to my brothers and sisters, don't be like me, but specifically he would always tell me, don't be like me, son. Don't hang out with those people, don't do what I did. And I just always remember that. And that's just what it was. And so that's I just wanted to tell you guys kind of like my experience of seeing my own father lost to not only fentanyl, but any drug he can get his hands on, meth, crack, alcohol. But he loves the opiates, because the opiate is the drug of attachment. And my dad had a lot of attachment issues with his mother. His mother was kind of narcissistic and not very loving. And I think that relationship really wounded him. And my dad never recovered from the abandonment and lack of love from his own mother. He's real talk. And there was a lot of trauma in his life, had a racist grandfather. He was my grandmother and grandfather are one of them's full blood, like Irish and British. The other one's Nigerian, black from the South. And there was a lot of racism back in those days. And so my dad had a lot of shame and guilt, I believe, from his childhood. There was just a lot of things that went wrong. And so sitting here today, I'm able to forgive and have compassion for my dad. I do set boundaries, because he's manipulative and he'll take what he can from you. That's just who he is. But I seen that he kind of grew a lot, and he wasn't so much like how he used to be, and I'm just glad that I got to make peace with him. But for anyone watching this who's struggling with fentanyl addiction, just know, like, I understand why you do it, and I just hope that you can find out healthier ways to heal from your pain, so you don't have to do that, because it really does hurt everyone around you. Even though I know you're not trying to hurt everyone around you, it's really painful for those that have to watch you. But I understand why you do it, and I have compassion for you. And that's just really what I wanted to talk about today, and just share my experience of what's it like to see somebody, multiple people that you love, die or dying from fentanyl overdose. And I had another close friend who's finally sober off fentanyl. He won like a 3-year run with it, and a lot of similar things. He just disconnected from the people he loved, and he was nothing like he used to be. It was really weird seeing him come to the bar, and he's going in his car and smoking pills and trying to act like he's the same old guy, and everyone could see it but him. And I went and got clean off my drugs of choice, and that inspired him. And we just actually spent Christmas together, and he looks better than he's looked in 5 years. And it's just a reminder for people that it doesn't have to be the end. Even if you do have an addiction to fentanyl, it doesn't have to be the end. And that friend of mine almost had a massive heart attack, heart failure, and they did surgery on him put 7 STEMIs in his heart, and he's alive and well today, and I'm grateful for that. So thank you guys for watching, and have a great day.